Okay, we'll start Likkutei to Pinchas, page Ayin Hay at the bottom. Parshas Pinchas, even though this week's Balak, but we'll start Pinchas. Okay, the pasuk says, we say this every day in davening, it's in the Pinchas, we read it on Rosh Chodesh. Tzavis b'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleim, command the Yidden, you should tell them, es korban ilachmi l'ishai. My korban, my bread, for my burnt offerings, v'amarta aleim, you should tell them, zeh isha, this is the burnt offering that you should bring to Hashem. So the pasuk says, v'amarta aleihem, and then it says again, v'amarta aleihem, twice v'amarta. Lahaven, lohem, because aleihem means unto them, lohem means to them. It says lahaven v'amarta v'amarta beis pamim. Why does he say twice the word v'amarta? Hine kol ha-mitzvah tzarich lahadam l'kaim machshava dibur u'maisa. Every mitzvah a person needs to fulfill in thought, speech, and action. Meaning the kavan of the mitzvah, they're learning the verbal part of the mitzvah, then the action of the mitzvah. V'yechein b'korbanos. The same thing by korbanos, by sacrifices, which is a mitzvah. Machshava zu tefillah aveda shebalev k'neged korbanos. So where do you have thought, speech, and action when it comes to sacrifices? So you have, the thought is the concept of davening, which is the aved of the heart. Dibor, the Talmud Torah, the korbanos. Dibor, the speech, is the learning Torah of the mitzvah. Kol ha'esik b'Torahs Eilah, whoever learns the laws of Eilah, korban Eilah is like he brought it. V'aved korban atzma. Kvasim elishon hu ha'maisa. So he says, every single mitzvah, you have thought, speech, and action. Where do you have this by korbanos? The korban is like instead of davening. So he says, the korban is the davening part of it, and then you have the learning part of it, which is verbal, and then you have the action part of it. So you basically like Torah, Veda, Gemara, Sodom, all three aspects of every mitzvah. V'hinei v'amarta lahem zehu isha nemer al ma'isa korban atzma. This it says v'amarta lahem, the second one. Zehu isha, this is the korban, that's the actual korban. This is the physical korban. Pasuk Rishon, the first pasuk. Tzavis b'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleihem. The first part that you tell them v'amarta aleihem, that refers to machshava v'dibur, thought and speech. So he says the two of v'amartas by korbanos, the first one is corresponding with thought and speech, and the second one refers to zehu isha. This is the actual korban, the way you bring it. Obeying is that to understand what does this mean. That one v'amarta is thought and speech, and the second v'amarta is action. To understand by korbanos, it says in this pasuk itself, it says reach nichayach. It's a good smell for Hashem. So obviously Hashem doesn't have a nose and he doesn't smell, and so what does it mean? Chazal explain, it's a pleasure I have, Hashem says, that I told you to do it, and you did it. So what's the good smell? Just like reach, the Gemara says, it's something a good smell, your neshama benefits from. So what's the good smell of a korban? That Hashem told them to do it, and they do it. So the Alter Rebbe says, every mitzvah is like that. You put on tefillin, Hashem told you to do it, and you did it. So it should say, by tefillin, by tzitzis, by Shabbat, whatever. Why does it say dafke by korbanos? So in other words, if the whole concept of reich nichayach means that we're doing what Hashem wants us to do, so that applies to every single mitzvah. Why is it only by korbanos? And also, gam lahov and lo ma'avedas korbanos tuluya bebeis hamikdash dafke. Why is it that korbanos must have a beis hamikdash or a mishkan? Masha'en ken shar mitzvahs the Talmud Torah connected kulam. All the other mitzvahs, you don't need a beis hamikdash. Hashem should have kept the mitzvah korbanos in your backyard. You should be able to bring a korban. Why is it relevant dafka only in the beis hamikdash? Afilu machshava dibur shem tefillah shegeneged korbanos v'tamad korbanos yuchelum l'kayim bizman shem beis hamikdash kayim. Especially Okay? Not only that, the thought and speech of Karbanis, the learning Karbanis, the concept of davening, which is the thought and speech he just said, that applies even if there's no Beis HaMikdash. Why is it, number one, that Reach Nechayach applies only to Karbanis, when it applies to every mitzvah we do what Hashem wants us to do? And secondly, why is the action, not the thought and speech? That's possible even in Karbanis. You can learn about Karbanis, you can daven. Why is the action of Karbanis dependent only in a Beis HaMikdash? Why can't you bring it anywhere, whatever? So he says, Achine calls that Yuvan Behegdim. We'll first understand this by first introducing Lahav and Masha Kosav Hayim La Seisam. It says in the pasuk Asher Anechi Mitzavcha Hayim. So Gemara says Hayim is to do, V'loi L'machal La Seisam. You can't do mitzvahs in Gan Eden. It says Hayim La Seisam U'L'machal L'Kabel Schar. Gan Eden you get reward, but in Gan Eden you can't. It's too late already. You can't. Yeah, you can't. No Jew gets punished. So why is it Karban? Why is there only today? Because this world is a world of action, and there was the free will was given in the hand of a person, to choose good, or God forbid the opposite. Not only that, but in this world, even if somebody, God forbid, sinned, you can even do tshuva. Number one, mitzvahs can only be done in this world. And secondly, tshuva can only be done in this world. In Olam Haba, where you don't have a body and a Yetzer Hara, there's no free choice. Free choice must be that you have the choice to do good or bad. So you have a Yetzer Tov, you have a Yetzer Hara, and you choose which one you want to listen to. But if you have no Yetzer Hara, well, you don't have free choice. The way it happens in this world, that's the way it says in Olam Haba. Hagam Shalachir, but Gan Eden is a greater level. You see godliness. Hagam Sham Gili Alukos B'Yaseh says, even though in Gan Eden you see greater level of godliness. V'shamu bittul nivroim, and there is more bittul of creations. Like it says, V'ashmayim lechem mishtachavim, even klipa v'sitracha, the level of bittul. Even in Gan Eden or in those spiritual worlds, even evil is bottled to Kedusha. The Karla Elokad Elokai, they call him the God of the gods, but they still hold of Hashem, Afal Pikain, and Yachol Lishid Benafshi. They see him in Miskadamaisa, Govakachas, and Nafshinim Shachan Belamazah. But nevertheless, even though there's a greater level of Kedusha, if you don't do tshuva in this world, in the world to come, you can't get rid of the Arvedus. You can't get rid of them. You can only get cleansed for what you did, but you don't get rid of the Aveda.
But people who say Kaddish for you.
It helps to go up in Gan Eden. It helps you have merits. But the bottom line is, you can't do tshuva in Olam Haba. You can't do, like the guy, the story, the rich man died. He was a miser. He never gave tzedakah. He died. He comes up to Olam Haba, and they say, "Sir, you're going down under. You're not going anywhere. You never gave tzedakah." He says, 1 minute, I'll give you a check. So Gan Eden says to him, the upstairs Beis Din says to him, in this world we only collect receipts. We don't collect checks. Can't give tzedakah in that world. It doesn't work. Does not only exist in this world.
But then you say in the last minute you can say tshuva.
Yeah, but you're still alive. Once you die, you can't do tshuva.
The guy knows that at the end you can say teshuva.
No, how do you know?
Whatever he wants, and he says, you know what, I'll do teshuva.
How do you know? How do you know the guy's going to do tshuva?
No, but somebody has it in the back of his mind that I can say teshuva. And he cannot.
Yeah, but how do you know on his deathbed he'll be able to say, maybe God forbid, he'll be hit by a car and he won't have no deathbed?
He won't have a chance.
But let's say he doesn't, and at the end of the day he comes.
If the Rambam writes, if at the end, no. What do you mean? Of course, he's not going to do it again. He's dying. How do you expect him to do it again? No, that's not. Tshuva is the person regrets seriously, honestly, realistically, everything he did in this world. Rabbi Yosef ben Dodai did tshuva, it was good. But not every person can rely on the last minute. You know the bumper sticker that says, avoid the rush, avoid the Yom Kippur rush, do tshuva now. Yom Kippur is a tshuva rush. So you have to do tshuva now, you can't wait for Yom Kippur. What is the punishment in Olam Haba? That's kaf hakela. The punishment, one of the there's chibur hakever, there's kaf hakela. What is kaf hakela? That's besides Gehenim. Kaf hakela literally means a slingshot. Simply it means they throw the neshama, the punishment up there is they throw the neshama from one end of the world to the next. But what it really means, Alter Rebbe says here, in Gan Eden, they show you the thoughts, the terrible thoughts and stuff that you did in this world. And over there you're embarrassed. Because over there there's no world, there's no Yetzer Hara, but they show you to. Shem Islates and they laugh at him. And they show him, as if he's still alive in this world. And he's still behaving the way he always was. But over there is the world of truth. So it kills him, the fact that this is what he did then. So he says with Pearl that this world, to understand this whole concept of what he spoke about before, why Kabbanis is Reich Nechech and nothing else, and also why there's no action of Kabbanis without a Beis HaMikdash. So he starts explaining that this world is the world where you can do mitzvahs, this is the world where you can do tshuva. The world to come, you can't do tshuva and you can't do mitzvahs. Bottom line.
Krishma is considered a tshuva?
Krishma Lamita?
Yeah.
If you do tshuva, it is. It's not Krishma, it's Krishma Lamita. It's the Aveda. There were Chassidim that it would take them a few hours every night to do Krishma Lamita. A few hours. Why? Because they sat down and started making a reckoning of the day. And these are, if they're great Chassidim, obviously, they didn't sin what me and you sin. You know what I mean? They were great Chassidim. And yet, on their level, they realized what they did on their level, what they did wrong, wasn't what they were supposed to be, and tomorrow is going to be better. Literally, it took them hours at night to do Krishma Lamita. It's fine.
Rabbi, isn't there though a struggle that they would have spending so much time on that rather than learning more, or
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day.
Yeah, but
Chassidus explains, the Gemara says that Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai in his deathbed, the Gemara says in Brachas, on his deathbed, was crying. He was crying his head off. So students came to him, Rabbi, and they started complimenting who he was. He said, why are you crying? He said, because I see before me two worlds, Gehenim and Gan Eden. I don't know which direction they're going to lead me. I don't know if I'm going down under or up there. You know, if I'm going for the company, I'm going for the weather. You know what I mean? You have to know where you're going. So Chassidus asked the question, Gemara speaks about Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai, how great he was. He didn't know where he was going. So Chassidus gives a mashal. A person owns a business. So during the day, you can't make a reckoning, an accounting of how the business is going. Because during the day you're supposed to be making business. You're going to waste time making a reckoning, you're not going to be making a living. At the end of the day, you close the store, then you make a cheshbon. How much was lost, how much was gained, whatever it is. So this explains, this world, the business is open, the store is open, the Aved is open. From the minute you're born until the minute you die, business is open. Rabbi Yechim ben Zakkai, his whole life was working in Avodas Hashem. He had no time to make a reckoning. He didn't know where I'm going. He didn't know what I should be, what I'm not, what I should be. On his deathbed, as the expression goes, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? Then he had no choice but to make a cheshbon. at the end of the day, or the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, Thursday night is the last night before Shabbos, or Erev Rosh Chodesh, which is called Yom Kippur Katan. Why? Yom Kippur is a day of reckoning. Erev Rosh Chodesh, you're supposed to make, it's called mini Yom Kippur. Why? Because truthfully, you're supposed to make a reckoning how the month went and how the next month's going to be better. By the way, Bechsidim is not to get depressed, oh, it was a lousy month. Chassidim, okay, it was like this, and tomorrow's going to be better. Next month will be better. So that's the story. So at night, people can do Kriv Shema Lamita. It's their Yom Kippur. There's a daily Yom Kippur, weekly Yom Kippur, monthly Yom Kippur, yearly Yom Kippur, lifely Yom Kippur. That's it.
Rabbi, I want to do Teshuvah every night for an hour too, but my wife is getting together.
Okay, good. V'inyan kafakela shemekalim. I'm sorry. Here. Kineim achshava dibra ma'aser shem gimel levushim. Thought, speech, and action, which are the three garments in Islavish that the person has in this world. A nasim le'levush sak. That thought of negativity, speech negative, action negative, become the garments of sack. And these are the filthy garments when you come to Olam Haba. That covers the person from head to toe. It surrounds the person completely. And a prisoner cannot free himself. So he says like this. Why? Okay, so the garments you get in this world, what happens? A person sins. Let's use physical language so we can understand. When you sin in this world in thought, speech, or action, basically what you're doing is you're putting on filthy garments. Putting on filthy thought garments, speech garments, action garments. Now you come up to Gan Eden. So we say from Tillim and Yom Rishon, Mi Yala Bahar Hashem, who can go up to Gan Eden, Neki Kapayim, clean hands, Uvar Levov, and pure heart, right? So what happens? You come up to Gan Eden after 120 and you're full of mud. So they say, guy, you can't enter Gan Eden with, this is a banquet hall, you can't enter here with muddy garments. You got to take a shower. So they send you to the hot shower. It's called hell. Gehenna. Or if you're a lazy guy, that's for negative mitzvahs. Transgressing negative commandments. What happens if you didn't do positive commandments? Laziness. I didn't do it because I'm lazy. So they sent you to a Gehenna of snow. You give a dump into a freezing pool, it wakes you up. So, bottom line is, this is not a, God forbid, a punishment, not a domination, not, God forbid, anything like that. It's Pashut cleansing process.
Well, when we say Kaddish, we prevent them.
What do you think? It takes up just everything?
It gives a gentle cycle.
It gives a gentle cycle,
When we say
yeah.
Kaddish, we prevent him to go there.
It helps in the prevention. What do you think? A guy will say, a guy will be a complete Rosh, tell his kids, say Kaddish for me, I'll be okay. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
An hour and a half. It prevents an hour and a half. Good.
It prevents. What do you think? You're just off the hook because a kid says Kaddish, you could be the biggest. No, it helps the neshama. It doesn't clean the neshama completely.
Only 200 degrees, not 200.
Whatever it is, who cares? But the bottom line is, what do you think Kaddish cleans the person? You can be evil all your life, and your kids will do Kaddish, and you'll be okay. What?
What does it mean that cleansing the neshama? There's no body that feels pain. There's no.
Neshama feels more pain than the body, by the way. The body doesn't feel pain. When there's neshama leaves the body, what pain does the body feel? Neshama feels pain. Back to the Kaddish.
You keep on saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have hands, doesn't have nose. How do we know that? Doesn't the Torah says he does not have hands? He says that he does not have hands.
Yeah.
But it says that somewhere else that actually God created us the way He did so that you'll appreciate His
That's what
function.
means the person is created in the image of Hashem. Means, just like in the worlds, there's 3 levels of seichel, and then you have the 7 emotions, and then you have, right? So the person, unlike an animal who's born flat, the head and the midas are the same, that's not in the image of Hashem, because in the godly worlds, seichel is higher than midas. So in godliness, the intellect is higher than the emotions. So therefore, a person who's created in the image of Hashem is created that the head is above the thing. In Hashem, you have 5 spheres and 5 spheres, so therefore a person is born with 5 fingers on each hand. Not 4, not 3, not 6. Animals don't necessarily have 5 fingers either. They're not created in the image of Hashem. That means that doesn't mean Hashem has a body and all that. God forbid.
Like he says in Pasuk.
The Rambam says clearly, and he'll say that Torah. God forbid. And he quotes psukim that show that.
Why couldn't he? Why couldn't he smell? He's unlimited. Why do we say he doesn't have a nose to smell?
1 second.
Why couldn't he?
He doesn't have physicality, but in Yom Revi, Yom Revi b'Shabbos, we see Hanayta Eisen Hala Yishma, Hayetzer Ayin Hala Yabit. If Hashem makes Hanayta Eisen, if Hashem can make an ear hear, Hala Yishma, for sure he can.
Isn't everything God?
Hayetzer Ayin, if he sees it, but what does it mean? It doesn't mean, Siddur explains, it doesn't mean God has an eye and he has an ear. It means he has the source to be able to create the level of listening. Hearing is a level of bina. Seeing is a level of chachma. So Hashem has the ability of chachma and bina in his spiritual realm of godliness. Now, when that level of godliness comes down into a physical existence, then it becomes an eye and it becomes an ear.
If what you just said is an interpretation, is actually says it in the Torah. What you just, the statement you just mentioned, is it an interpretation of rabbis or is it?
1 second, 1 second. When it says, in the beginning God created heaven and earth, does it say those words in the Chumash? No, it says, Bereshit bara Elokim. It doesn't say, in the beginning God created heaven and earth. It doesn't say that everything was created, Esa Shemaim, everything of the heavens and everything of the earth was created that day. Does it say in the Chumash it was created in the first day? No. But that's Torah Sheba'al Peh. Torah Sheba'al Peh was given to Moshe Rabbeinu. At Har Sinai, Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, when I'm telling you the pasuk, Bereshit bara Elokim, Esa Shemaim Esa Haaretz, it means everything, the heaven, everything in it, the earth, everything in it. And that's the definition. When Hashem says in Chumash, don't do work on Shabbos, Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu exactly what that means. That's called Torah Sheba'al Peh, which was given synonymously, simultaneously, together with Torah Sheba'al Peh.
And
Torah Sheba'al, 1 second. So when it says in the pasuk, if God can create vision, can he not see? What does that mean? So Torah Sheba'al Peh says, it means that God doesn't have in this psukim, the Rambam quotes that God doesn't have a vision, an image of a body. It says there are psukim all over the place. But even if not, in Torah Sheba'al Peh, which explains the pasuk, that is what the pasuk is saying. When it says don't do work on Shabbos, it's one. Okay, then you got a tracted Shabbos like this, and aloha is like this. There's 5 words in the Chumash. But Torah Sheba'al Peh says Leisasa Kol Malacha means A, B, C, D. You got a few hundred pages of Gemara, and that's what it means. So Torah Sheba'al Peh is saying what Torah Sheba'al means. So it's Torah Sheba'al. If Torah says something, in the Gemara it says, biblically you cannot write on Shabbos. So now somebody's going to ask, does it say in the Torah, biblically, you're not allowed to write, does it say you don't write on Shabbos? It doesn't say that in the Torah. But it really does. Because Leisasa, Kol Malacha, don't do any work, includes writing. So does that say it in the Chumash biblically? Yeah, it's biblically forbidden.
When it says God, if he
knows what hearing is.
Right, so if
He knows what herring is
you
too,
can say,
because he's not
conversely-
Sephardic.
Conversely, you can say if you did not have sentiments of love or hatred, you couldn't create it. So he can have sentiments of hatred and
Is there
vengeance
attributes of God?
and vengeance.
1 second. If there's an attribute of Hashem, of Chesed and Gevura and Teferes, those are spheres of Hashem.
Correct.
Okay. But where do spheres begin? Where do those detailed, limited attributes of God begin? Where time and place and worlds begin. In the level of godliness, which is higher than world, there is no tangible love and fear and all that stuff.
But how could he create a certain sentiments if he didn't experience it, if he doesn't know what it is, like love or hatred?
He created the sentiment of love. How can he not know what it is?
So same thing as hatred.
Right.
And jealousy.
Right. God, Kel Kanahu. God is a jealous God.
And can be vengeful too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rabbi,
Isn't that what it says in the book?
No, I thought he doesn't have those sentiments.
Kel Kanahu, it says God is a jealous.
Exactly. It says it explicitly. You're right.
So somebody asked Rabbi Gamliel, what God is jealous of? Idols, God is jealous of idol worship. So don't worship idols because God is a jealous God.
Right. Yeah.
So somebody asked Rabbi Gamliel, the Gemara Sanhedrin, somebody asked, what is he, a God, a jealous God of what? Of stones and idols?
Same thing in our parasha.
So he said, Rabbi Gamliel answered him like this. There's a guy who's having an affair. He's married, but he's having an affair. So if the woman that he's having an affair with is beautiful and stunning and much better than his wife, yeah, it's got, at least the wife can understand why he's doing it. Yeah? She doesn't, it's wrong, but she can understand why he's doing it. But then you have a guy, he's having an affair with an old, ugly, nothing wrong with old and ugly, by the way, but saying the woman is old and ugly and despicable, and then she gets angry. You're leaving you're leaving me for that? For that you're leaving me?
But even if she
1 second. So God says, when you worship idols, you're committing adultery. Yeah? You're going to other wives. Yeah? Whatever. So Hashem says, okay, but stones?
Baal.
Yeah, you urinate in front of it. That's what you're doing instead of me. That's Hashem says. Not that he's, God forbid, angry. He's so fed up. How can you act like that?
Disappointment.
How foolish can you be? God couldn't care less. You think God could care less? You bow down to this, go do this. So Dr. Medina, God, there's a level of godliness God couldn't care less. God couldn't care less. That level of godliness is where good and bad is equal. But once you come into the realm of worlds, of creation, then God comes into a limited form. Over there you have Chesed and Gevura and Ava and Yira and this and that. In the level higher than worlds, there are no spheres. Let me ask you a question. The neshama can hear?
Yes.
The neshama could see? Neshama could walk, talk?
Not
Yeah.
walk and talk.
The power of walking.
Neshama is not physical.
I understand, but neshama doesn't physicalize either. So a neshama has the power to see and hear. Yeah? Now, does that mean that the neshama itself has a seeing department and a hearing department and a this department? So we learned 1,000,000 times the mashal for this. You have a battery. You put a battery in a flashlight, it gives light. You put a battery into a talking doll, it talks. You put it into a walking thing, it walks. Yeah? Does that mean that the battery has talking and walking and light, shining? And no, it's one simplistic power. In the essence of the neshama, there are no the divisions of powers. Yeah, but I'm saying, even there in the nefesh, in the essence of the nefesh is about any connection to the body. There's no limitations there. It's one essential. But when it comes it dresses into the world, then the neshama could see, and the neshama. So if it's the toy of the eye, then it comes in, you can see. If it's a toy that walks, that talks, it comes into the mouth. That's what it means. So the attributes of Hashem begin when Hashem comes into world. Higher than that level of world, there is no chesed and gvura or ava and yira.
Wow.
That's right.